Well, welcome everyone to the May webinar for the Religion Communicators Council, also known as RCC. I am the president and I will be hosting you for this webinar. I want to say a couple remarks about RCC. Number one, it was founded in 1929, and in 2029 we will celebrate 100 years. One of the oldest religion communicators organizations in the US. I always open our meetings with our mission statement, and I will do that now. The Religion Communicators Council is a professional association that provides opportunities for networking and professional development for communicators of faith-based organizations. RCC recognizes and cultivates excellence in communications of religious faith and values while advancing religious literacy. So our monthly webinars are one of our development opportunities, networking opportunities for us to learn from one another. We are a learning community. Typically, before we start into the actual topic and I introduce the speaker, we like to do a quick round of introductions briefly. This helps us get to know who's all here and also helps our speaker kind of gauge who they're speaking to. So I will begin. And again, I mentioned I'm Teresa Faust. I'm the president of RCC. This is my last official act as president. Last month at our annual convention in Salt Lake City, we elected new officers, and our new president is Ryan Coe. I believe he is on our call here today. He is going to close out the meeting as I open it. I'll let him introduce himself. How's that sound? Let's see. So I am Teresa. I am soon to be past president of RCC. I live in Dayton, Ohio, and my work in communications is really around doing research around communications, how to best leverage your communications to get people to notice what you're doing. I will hand off to someone else to do a quick introduction, and if no one volunteers, I will call on someone. Okay, I'm going to call on Suzanne.
I was actually about to say, I was going to go in because my dad used to say, get it over with. So anyway, I'm on from the west of Ireland. I put in there, I'm a Mercy sister, and I've been in communications in our province, but we're in a changing environment of structures and all of that. We're now called a branch, and we're about to transition. So I don't know what I'll be doing, but it's just, I suppose, I'm always conscious of the importance of telling stories, and CWR is such a great support for all of that. So I'm looking along there. I'm interested in Ryan. I don't see you, Ryan, and I'm wondering, would you like to reveal yourself to the group?
I will reveal myself when not driving anymore. I just a couple of notes. So my name is Ryan Coe, and I am the new president of the Religion Communicators Council as of the end of this meeting. And I run the New York Office of Public and International Affairs for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as my day job, if you will. I am actually away from my desk right now. I've had some health issues, not me personally, but in my family. And so I'm helping my sister and brother-in-law's family as they are trying to navigate some of those health issues. And so that's why I'm a little discombobulated, if you will. But one thing that I think is really beautiful, not just about this community, but everybody that I've associated with, because I basically just had to drop everything and fly to Utah on Monday, is everybody's just been like, whatever you need, Ryan, just you're going to go help your family. That's more important. And they've just been so loving and so kind and so generous with letting me come out here and help my family. So I want to thank everybody for that as well. So that's who I am, and you'll see my face by the end of the meeting. But if I can turn it over to Kathy, I thought I saw her on here.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm Kathy Williams, and I did a last minute invite today to some of the CWR members. So I'm thrilled to see some of them here. So I work for the Ursuline Sisters of Louisville in communications, and I'm an RCC board member. And it's just a great group of folks, and I've enjoyed learning about everyone else's organizations and religions, and it's been a great experience.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks for inviting folks, and please hand it off to someone else for a quick intro.
I'm going to pick on my friend, Catherine McWilliams.
I don't mind getting confused for Kathy Williams every now and then. And I'm a great admirer of her and her work as I do my work for the Daughters of Wisdom U.S. delegation as their communications director. And so she spiked my interest about this group, and that's why I'm here today, to learn about you and to learn about what I can learn from you.
Thank you. Who would you like to select next to introduce themselves?
Oh, I think the Jewish Life television personality looks good.
That's a good way to describe me. I am a personality. I don't know what my wife thinks I am, but my name is Brett Pomerantz. Yes, I'm with Jewish Life Television. I work as an on-camera host and also an executive at the television network, which airs in United States and Canada.
Thank you, Brad. Hand off to someone else, please.
Having problems seeing my screen. Would you pick someone for me, Teresa?
Sure. I will select Julie.
Perfect.
I'm Julie Ferraro. I'm technically Director of Communications for the Benedictine Sisters at the Center for Benedictine Life at the Monastery of St. Gertrude in Cottonwood, Idaho. But I'm currently in Ireland, in the west of Ireland. Yes, helping out the Benedictine Sisters at Kylemore Abbey for 3 months. So I'm doing some long distance work and some short distance work. But I saw Kathy's post earlier, and I'm really interested to find out about Sisters Rising worldwide.
Wonderful. Welcome. All right, Julie, do you want to tap somebody else to speak next?
Well, I think Wesley needs to say hi.
Hi. Wesley Wolf-Bearpinkham. I am the Senior Visual Arts Manager at the Friends Committee on National Legislation. I'm calling in from Baltimore, Maryland. FCNL is a Quaker faith-based lobby, the largest faith-based lobby in Washington, D.C. for over 80 years. I've been with the Friends for about 6 years now. And I will probably have to drop off video at some point here, but I will be staying on to listen in to this exciting conversation.
Thanks, Wesley. Let's see. Let's do Marita next, please. Marita, can you hear us? We're just doing brief introductions. Let's move on. Jenny, do you want to do a quick introduction?
Sure. Hi, Jenny Heiser. I'm the Executive Director for RCC. And some of you folks I knew from CWR, so it's good to see kind of catching up to the Ireland contingent. So good to see you. And I thank Sister Irene for being with us today. It's really interesting how you're building community when it's across the world. I'm just fascinated by what you've built and how you're doing good work with it. So thank you.
All right. Well, that concludes our introduction session, and I appreciate y'all doing that. I think it's helpful to, make this virtual experience a little bit more personable. And now I will do a quick, brief intro of our speaker, Sister Irene O'Neill. She is the founder and president of Sisters Rising Worldwide. So today she is going to share about how they are leveraging technology to build community and engagement. That's a very brief overview, and I'm going to turn it over to her now to say some more words of intro and get us going. And you let us know, Sister Irene, if you want us to ask questions as you're presenting, put them in the chat, how you want to handle this. We're a reasonably casual group, and we're ready. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to meet you. It looks like my screen is it's off a little bit. So can you hear me straight though? Even though
yes.
Right. So I'm just going to talk right through it. So I don't know what happened, or because when we practiced, it was fabulous. Okay. So Sisters Rising Worldwide. Oh, first of all, yes, ask questions as we go along. That's the best way. I'm happy to do that. Just a little background. I worked as the head of a foundation for our Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet for 20 years here in St. Paul, Minneapolis area, and raised money for all of our programs that we have across the metropolitan area. And in the course of doing that, I ran into so many people that said, "Sister, if I knew where the nuns were, I would help them." But so, and it just after 20 years, I thought there was one fellow who said, "I actually have $100 million to give away, and there's no nonprofit big enough to take it. What are the nuns doing?" And my first thought was, "Oh my gosh, I don't need $100 million." And my second thought was, "Oh, I know where the nuns are. This is more of a global thing. This is not something just for St. Paul, Minneapolis." So I thought to myself, I think I know where the nuns are. Give me a country, I mean, I could tell you where they are, pick the poorest area, just put a pin right there. That's where they are. And, but the biggest thing is that I believed that the sisters knew the root cause to the poverty around them, to a person. And so I gathered a little I call them my merry band of visionaries, and we tested that out to see, is that really true? Do we know where the sisters are? We had all been serving on international boards, and so we had opportunity to run into a lot of different orders and stuff. So we were pretty spot on to where the sisters were. But the biggest question we asked was, do you know what the root cause is to the poverty around you? And to a person, the sisters would kind of go like, well, duh, yes, of course we know what the root cause is, because they're living right in the middle of it where the need is. So, and what we also knew is that they weren't getting resources to help that at all. Most of them around the world just kept doing what they could do. That's what they did. They offered empathy and compassion for sure, and then, tried to solve problems. Well, so what we did then is, my little merry band, is we decided to go find the list of where the nuns were. So we started at the UN, where there are 44 sisters serving 200 congregations around the world. And we thought, well, they'll have a list. Well, they didn't have a list. And that was kind of a shock to us. So then I was on this board that took me to Rome a couple times a year, which was fabulous. And there is the International Union of Superiors General. And so I asked if she had a list, Pat Murray, from Ireland, by the way. And Pat says, "No, I don't have a list." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You don't have the list?" And she said, "No, she always sees there are 1,900 congregations around the world. And she would ask the leaders of the congregation, tell me where your nuns are. Tell me what they're doing. Let me find out so that I can basically build a list." And I said, "I bet nobody answers you." She says, "They don't." I said, "It's because they're too busy. They're busy." And so, and anytime they give you some data about what they're doing, by the time it gets to her mailbox, the data has changed because the poverty just increases and it moves and. So anyway, one of the nuns that was in my merry band said, "Now we need my cousins." And it was like right out of a mafia movie. I'm like, "We need your cousins? Like, what's going to happen now?" Well, she had this family of very talented women, and two of them, one lived in St. Paul. That was a God thing, because the other two frequently visited her in St. Paul. And one of them was Michael Bloomberg's right-hand person. And the other one was somebody who could retire at age like 42 or 43 because she'd already succeeded in her sales and marketing and all that. So she was just volunteering, very talented. And so they came to St. Paul, one weekend, and I said, this is what I want. I want a map of the world, and I want to be able to click on a country, and I want to have that country open up, and I want to see the nuns. I want to know what they're doing and what they need. So she designed it. We went to find a company that would build a platform. I was told it would cost $1 million. So I went looking, I thought, well, all right, I'll go raise $1 million. And one of these cousins, her name is Kelly. She is connected to the technology world, and we found a company that said, my gosh, we've been building platforms for years, but we've never been asked to build a platform to make the world better. I'm only going to charge you $350,000. And I got it in 2 gifts. And the reason why that's important is that one of the people I'd never met before. And it made me know that the vision of Sisters Rising Worldwide was important beyond just the sisters. It was important to other people. And we got it, and we built it, and I'm going to show it to you. I can show it to you now, and I can keep telling you the story. So I can, the screen is, I can share it now, right? Hopefully it's not going to be choppy. Can you, can you see it yet? Not yet. Yeah, can you see it? Do you see a world?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, okay, oh, geez. Still can't?
No.
Oh my gosh.
It says you started screen sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there, I better did it pop up now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why this is slowed down. I'm gonna take one of my things away and see if that helps speed things up. I don't know. Okay, so this is what we have here. Can move this world around. Everything's slow. This is the internet, not the map. Usually this goes very fast. And you see all these little dots, like those pins? Those are the places where we have been working with Sisters Rising Worldwide. Not where we work, but where we help the sisters working on the ground. And so I'm going to take you, I want to look up here at the upper left. You'll see where it says for this world view. And it tells us how, like, if I just wanted to see the people. So like right now we have 402 sisters around the world who have onboarded onto this room, which we call the peace room. We call the platform the peace room. And a lot of these 402 sisters that are onboarded are like one of them is head of 9,000 nuns. Another one is head of the nuns in the 7 sub-Saharan countries in Africa. So we figure there's about 75,000 sisters right now represented just here, but we want all of them. There are 650,000 sisters in the world, and we're in 190 countries. So this system was built so that 10,000 sisters could be on it at the same time. So if I wanted to just see the people, I click on this up here, upper left. I click on that. And let me just, it switches. So I could go to here, let me go to the Democratic Republic. It'll show just there who the people are. Oh gosh, it's so slow. It's making me crazy. It says that there are 3 people right now on that in the Democratic Republic. They're running 4 programs. I could go back up. I'm going to go back up to browse. I'm going to reset it. Really, it wasn't like this 20 minutes ago. If I wanted to see so there's 157 programs that the sisters have put on. So the sisters, there are 402 sisters, but of those, there are 157 programs around the world. Of those, right now, this quarter, we're funding 30 of them. If I showed the ones that we've already funded, I could click down here. We've funded 112 and we funded 16 alerts. So what happens, so the crisis alert, there's crisis alerts that happen. Like if I just want to see what were the crisis alerts, I can click on that. And you see how the map changes? Oops, now where'd they go? Come on, crisis alerts. There we go. No, went back. I'm sorry.
You clicked on show only funded.
Yeah, the crisis alerts. So we had 16 crisis alerts. If I just want to show the crisis alerts, I click on that, only the funded ones. Do you see how the dots are there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yes.
These are places where we've been doing crises. You can see that the Ukraine and around there, a couple of there's some crises that we funded because of the Ukraine war. Down here, Uganda, DRC, there's been some horrible crises down there. I feel like I don't want to move this too much because it takes so long. We've done crises in India. So another way, I'm going to go back to browse. I just want to show you the capability of this. If I click on India, there are 20 sisters in India that are onboarded. Let's see if it's going to come. There are 23 programs. Here they all, this is all the areas where they are in India. These are their programs. If I want to click on the person, I just want to name a name of the nun in India. Nope, it keeps going back. All right, let me just click on here. Here, let's just go to a program. I don't know, what is it? Is it you guys having electric problems in the air? Okay, so I can click on a program. Let me just click on one. Come on, come up, come up, come up. I think I just have to let it come in. Let me go back to browse. Oh, I'm so sorry that this technology is slow today. I mean, not today, just in the last little bit. Oh, here we go. Here's the program coming up. Slow, slow, slow. And this is the empowerment and livelihood, the equipping violence affect the violence that's happening with the youth in that part of the world. And the sisters are trying to work with them. So I can look at funding to see what is it that they were asking for. Gotta wait. Anyway, so it's just going to take a while, I guess. So what happens is that it tells us what they want. They tell us what they're doing and what they want. And sometimes when people are applying for grants, they're asking for, it's pages and pages. What we want to know is, what is the problem? What is the root cause of that problem? What are the sisters doing about it? And what's the impact that they expect? And that shows up when we have a website, srw.org, that is public. Everybody can see that. And every quarter we put up new programs. So the sisters send us their programs and tell us their funding needs, and we queue it up. We don't prioritize or anything. We just first ones that come in, then we fund them. Have you looked at the website? Any of you, srw.org? It looks like baseball cards come up right now. And what, you just click on a card. That's what I had. I took it off. Let me see if we're getting this any further. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it's just not not moving fast enough. I'm
Oh,
going to go out of this.
I dropped the URL in the chat if people wanted to click on that.
Okay,
Where
good.
does the map live on the website? I was trying to find that.
Okay, the map right now is the Peace Room. I'm going to go to this. Let me get it. Let me switch over here. I'm going to go to srw.org.
So can I ask a question while you're doing that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, so these sisters make a request. They say, this is what we're doing. You know, this is the root cause. This is the problem. This is what we need to address it. Do you already have the funds in place then, and you just give it to them, or do you go out and do you fundraise for that specific cause?
We have both. Both are true.
Okay.
So we have, I'm going to click, first of all, I'm going to show you down here. Do you see where it says, are you a sister?
Okay.
Down the lower right, then go to the
Yeah.
Peace Room. That's how sisters have to onboard. They go there to get into the Peace Room. When they get into the Peace Room, we have to vet them. So we check to see, are they really a sister?
Is it only sisters that are asking for funding, or can any sister get in there?
Oh, no, any sister can get in there. We want every sister in there, would be great, because what's happening is that they're building community among themselves. It's amazing. They're finding out, they're helping each other, they're sharing expertise and best practices and that kind of stuff. These are okay, so this is the public site, and this is what we're funding now. There are a lot of people, a lot of donors out there who like to fund, they like to choose a specific program. Like we just funded, it's not on here anymore, an ambulance. We have funded, sewing machines. We have funded solar. We have funded medicines. We've funded, you name it. The need is different, but each time they ask for it, they say, this is why it is the root cause of the poverty. If we could solve this problem, we could alleviate the poverty around, and this is what would happen. So that's what they do. Right, this year, we're giving out 300, it's a little bit more than that, 300,000 a quarter. And we started giving money out really in 2021 at $75,000 a quarter. And I just made that up because the nuns weren't getting anything at the time. Doesn't matter if we don't fund them or if we do fund them, they just keep doing what they do. But if you fund them, we could solve the problems. And so we made the first year 75,000 a quarter. Next year we made 100,000 a quarter. The next year we made 150, and this year we're going 300. I mean, so people want to help. That's it, just no question. They want to help. And the more people that find us, the more the word gets out, the more money that comes in. It comes in both ways, restricted and unrestricted. And it's okay, and we don't mind. We're giving it to the sister who says this will solve the problem. So we don't judge them. We do one story is one nun in the Philippines gave us, I'm gonna try to go back to the Peace Room. The nun in the Philippines said, I need a bookmobile. That's all she said. And so other funding agencies would just toss it. You need a bookmobile. What for? Well, we called her and said, how come you need a bookmobile? And she said, the trafficking in the villages in our part of the world is so bad, and nobody understands trafficking. They don't know that the traffickers literally go to the parents and say, I can get your kids jobs and they can send money back, and they let the kids go and they never see the kids again. And the nuns were just going crazy, and they said, so they were trying to go house to house to house to house in all these villages it was just overwhelming. So they said if we had a bookmobile, the parents would come to us with their kids and the traffickers would not come. And then we could talk about trafficking in the bookmobile. We could also loan books. We could do that. And they could drive from village to village. So the solutions that the nuns have are not ones you can make up. They know what's needed in their spot. I'm gonna, I don't know why this is not, I'm gonna hit refresh. That's what I'll do.
Sister Irene, I had a question.
Yeah.
On the public facing one, it looked like it was searchable by maybe by country or by type of project, or helping
Yeah.
women, helping children, or something like that. So it's also searchable, right? For the public to find the ones that they want to sponsor.
Yeah, I'll go back to it. Let me just see. Let me let this one come back.
So if I'm understanding this site right, it's kind of like a GoFundMe, but specifically for programs run by the Catholic Sisters. Is that correct?
Right, right. But the Catholic Sisters aren't just serving Catholics.
No,
So,
no, and
you
I
know,
don't think they are. It's
they're
just
serving
they're
yeah,
just run by the
yeah,
Catholics. It's like most of our
yeah,
faith-based organizations
yeah.
aren't tied to just helping members of our faith. They're tied to helping whoever needs it. How have you noticed, or have you
Yeah.
noticed, or is it still too early to tell, any differences in funding, any differences in the number of projects, the willingness to fund some of these projects since President Trump basically decimated USAID and withdrew a lot of the funding that USAID was able to give around the world?
Yeah, the impact hit almost right away. The first thing that we were getting were needs for food because the children with AIDS, they were the first kids that were dying, the first people dying because they needed, they needed the food right away and they weren't big enough, so that was huge. Food started to get stolen. There was another place in another country where they had cartons of food. They have little packets for the AIDS kids and high protein and stuff that they need, and they were stolen. So it's tough. And then there were some people that, I mean, the illness, everything just got huge. And so we see that as a crisis. And we put it in that mode. We have not been posting them in the same way because we're finding our way to see how big this is going to be. What is the problem? We were with the Rockefeller Foundation just a couple of weeks ago, met with the president there, and they're, feeling the same thing. Everybody's trying to find the gap and what's needed, how are we going to do it? So it's really, we're looking at partners. We have to find each other. No one organization can take care of this gap. It's just enormous. So, and the stuff that's the scariest part for me is when they started stealing the food from each other. That was, society breaking down. So, anyway, so we don't shy away from crises. But that's not our primary, primarily we want to be able to do what, if they say we need this to, because it's a root cause of the poverty around them. So we had one recently where the sisters said, and there was a number of different orders. They said that the government's no longer cleaning up the streets. There's filth everywhere. The disease is coming from that. People aren't taking care of the land. And so the sisters, all the different orders had a lot of different women who wanted to make a difference and start cleaning the streets and training the people that this is what society should look like. And we were wondering, is that really going to work? We don't judge them, but it's like, you give us some more information. And they did give us more information. They said we have to start somewhere. We are waiting. We will wait until we have funding to start. And this is why we need the funding to pull the people together to train them and that kind of thing. But somebody's got to do something. And so we funded them. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you just have to pay attention to, you trust their strength on the ground. So, but when we partner with other places, there's a fabulous story with the Ukraine war where the people were leaving the countries, of course, and their NGOs calling me saying, do you have nuns? Where are your nuns? Maybe we can help the sisters as they take care of the people. And one day we had a phone call from sisters in Germany that said, our home is full. The convent is packed full of people, and a family of 7 just came to our doorstep right now. And we have no room, and we just don't want to say we have no room. And so they called saying, can you help us? And I'm like here in St. Paul, like, okay. Well, then it turned out I know a guy in Poland who worked for an NGO, and I WhatsApped him and said, can we get on a Zoom right now? He said, sure. And I told him the story, and he said, I can get him a home tonight. Well, it's like, how does that happen? Well, he's connected to Airbnb. And so Airbnb has a foundation that got them a family. And so you can start making practically surgical moves of helping people around the world when you get big global organizations helping each other, which is why now Rockefeller wants to work with us. They see that the gap right now in the world is empathy. And they want to raise up the work that sisters are doing around the world as examples of reaching out with empathy. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But it's amazing. But I want to try to go back to the worldview again, and we'll just see as it pulls up. What's happening online with the sisters. So with these, like I said, there are 400 sisters representing probably 75,000 sisters right now of the 650,000 sisters. And there are some of them that work in orphanages. There's one in Guyana that works in an orphanage by herself. She was feeling a little discouraged, alone, because she felt alone and realized, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. I'm with all these people. These are my sisters. So she talks to them all the time. She just pokes on a country and some will come up, and then she communicates with them. The system automatically translates into the language that the people speak. Google is amazing. So that's, so it does that. So they're communicating with each other that way. Other communities in the United States where they don't have the same number of ministries that they used to have, or they're not, or maybe they have some funding that came to them and they don't know, well, we don't have the ministries to give it to. They're starting to give to Sisters Rising Worldwide because they know that money will go, the ministries of the sisters around the world are theirs too. So it's almost like it's breaking down the silos of the orders, not governmentally or anything like that, but the thinking is that this work is the work that belongs to all of us. This is why we became sisters in the first place. And so you can find out what's happening. There are people, when we went to El Salvador, there were 2 neighborhoods that were terrible, 2 areas, and there were 8 sisters that I met. And they were transforming that area. Turned out that there were 2,000 sisters in El Salvador, and nobody knew that. They didn't know that. And when you think about what they could be doing if they could communicate with each other. And so they're starting to, through Sisters Rising Worldwide, through the Peace Room, they're finding each other. We're helping. There's also huge organizations that help with medical needs. So there was a group in Kenya that wanted to bring their hospital up to another level, and they needed certain instruments and tools. I'm not a healthcare background, so I don't use the right language, but they needed stuff to make their hospital up another notch. And there's an organization in the United States that has that stuff, that gives it for free. They take it, they get it from other hospitals in the United States, they collect it, and then they try to get it across the world, but you have to pay for shipping. Well, the sisters can't pay for the shipping. Excuse me. So we pay for the shipping and they get the materials that they need for their hospital. So there's a lot that we're able to pull a lot of resources that are out in there in the United States to help these other people.
Sister Irene, I had messaged my boss about this webinar and she hadn't heard of your organization. So, how have you been getting that word out? I'm just wondering if there's some place, I mean, besides the website, is there any place I should direct her to or?
We have been, it's hard. We're not at the 100th monkey yet.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, we've been on a radio in New York. A couple of radio stations. We've been in some papers. We've been in the Global Sisters Report, but it just isn't, it's not there, So we just, the system is big, it's strong. We're working with, well, like the Rockefeller Foundation, we're working with other places because they're finding us. These big systems are finding us. And we're finding that we've been at the UN's coming on. The problem, I think as the sisters is more is how do I want to say this? They are so busy.
Mm-hmm.
They are so busy that to take time to get on a platform, first you have to say, what is a platform? And then you have to describe that. And then, and then they have to get on, and we have somebody who actually she represents the Loretto sisters at the UN, and she works for us part-time. And what she does is helps sisters get on the platform so that they don't, get confused. Because we vet, so they will get on, and then it comes to us. They put their name down, their congregation name down. They give us some information, and then we check to make sure that that's a real sister. The Hilton Foundation used to run into problems where they would get people not sisters online. So you have to check that out. So the wait time is usually like 2 days. And so then they think maybe it didn't work and they come on again, so we're trying to make it really seamless, but but it's important. And the other thing, when they ask for funding, they have to submit a letter from their congregation as well, because we don't each have money. We want the money that we get is for the service. And so it helps with the congregation too. So to know that that money is going back and forth and stuff. So, but it's growing every day. Like yesterday, there was only 398 on. And so today there's 4 people came on. So it's spreading more quickly. But it's a big deal. It should be through the LCWR.
Okay.
What do you call it? They have regional groups. I just spoke to one with 50 sisters. I mean, I would love to get to any LCWR regional group. If it's too big of a group, I don't think that they click in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like the subregions, because we also are in a subregion of LCWR. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
Those are the best. Those are the best regions. And the one that I just did maybe a week ago was fabulous. So then word spreads and people try, they get on. They have to remember their password.
The hard part.
That's the hard part, is the password, yeah. But with any other organization, so I'm aware that there are a couple of other organizations on this call, and we strengthen each other by knowing where each other is and how we can help each other. So, because there's so much, this one just killed me. This guy who, his background story was he grew up in Nigeria, raised by nuns, of course. They didn't have his shoes. They went through school without shoes till he was in high school. He wins some contest, gets his first pair of shoes. It changed everything. Everybody said, you should go to college now. You got shoes. You should go to the United States for college. Okay, so he's scattered applications all over. North Dakota took him. He became a basketball star or something, made a lot of money. Sanford Health Organization. Oh, he said what he wanted to do was to give free shoes to anybody who didn't have them, couldn't afford them. This year, his goal is to give 1 million shoes away. And he has a what do you call it? A factory in Ghana where they're making them. A health system in the United States gave him $20 million so he could make shoes there. But the shoes are they're biodegradable. Once they've been buried in the earth for 5 to 8 years, they're biodegradable. And so there's a I can't remember what you call it, but there's a system in the sole that keeps the children or anybody, they're adults too, from getting a lot of the disease comes up through the feet. So he's connecting with us because, of course, we know the people without shoes.
So, Sister Irene, you're saying that I'm trying to connect the dots. So this is a person who reached out to you to donate?
Right. Both.
Because he happened to grow up around nuns that helped him. I'm not following. Like, I guess I'm trying to connect the dots in terms of you have a fabulous system and you have donors. How are you using the information here to communicate among the sisters doing the work and to potential donors? Because we're communications people. What can we learn from what you're doing?
Okay. So all of the above that you just said, I mean, the dots, it's almost like how do you connecting them is a good question because they're just like feel random in so many ways. Because there are people who are taught by sisters, so they know sisters, and they're grateful, and they want to give back as donors, basically. That happens. Then there are people who just know about sisters, and they say, you have a network of 650,000 workers who are taking care of people, and you don't have to pay them, and they just keep doing it anyway, and the money goes to the program directly. They want to give. So that's the universe of the donors. It's a huge universe. They don't know how to find the nuns. They don't know where we are. So the more that they can find Sisters Rising worldwide, we can give them pinpoint places. Or, now here, if this will work better, when I go up in the map on the upper right, search, I can search by any of those categories. Like if somebody's interested in health or job training or human trafficking or environment, and the people that are the sisters that are doing that will show up. And we'll see if it'll cut there. These are the people that are doing the sisters, right, who are on the site doing human trafficking resistance. Or I can go to the map and I can search and I can put in the name of a country and that country will come up and the sisters will come up through there. So we're able to find the people because a lot of them people are interested. Once they give restricted funds, they often eventually start giving unrestricted. And we distribute that money among all the programs. The guy with the shoes, let me just finish this for a second. The guy with the shoes, to me, it hit two categories. It hit there's a whole healthcare network in this world, the Peace Room. And the shoes are for that. They need to know about these shoes. They're free. They give them to the people that, in their clinic, they're running clinics and the people are dying because the stuff's coming up through the bottom of their feet because they're barefoot. So that's one network that we can communicate with him on. The other one is the social justice network, which is the shoes are biodegradable when they're in the earth. And that's a whole nother network that we have across the world.
So someone can donate directly on your site and they're finding out about you How do they learn about you?
I know that we just right now we're doing everything. You all are a godsend to say we're communicators. It's like, hey, you should know about this site. This is a big deal. And the more people who find us, the more they share their friends with us. Because everybody's looking for a place that is of value where they can give their money and they know it gets there.
So we can help spread the word and get some more interest and generate it through our contacts as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
I do have a question about this community that you're talking about. And I'm just curious, has it ever led to international projects? So say there's a nun in Chile doing something and there's another nun in Nigeria doing something, and they realize we're both kind of trying to do the same thing. Why don't we pool our resources and do this project together?
Well, that's a good question. It doesn't work exactly like that. But we had a nun in Nigeria when Boko Haram was going through, this is maybe 3 years ago, and they were killing the farmers, and the women and children were running to the convents in the cities where they had big monasteries and stuff. And they were running out of food. So we talked to the sister about vertical farming, and how we said, do you have walls around your place, or we just set her a bunch of shit. There was a brand new concept. So they ended up doing vertical farming. Then shortly we heard from Venezuela, the nuns were starving, not just the nuns were starving, but the people were starving there, and they didn't have any more food. They'd eaten the leaves off the trees. And so we connected those nuns with the nuns in Nigeria to talk about vertical farming. So we've done that. So they're sharing best practices, that kind of stuff. Usually the sisters are working with, they don't work in isolation. They're working with the community. And so it's not like the sister has a good idea and let's all do this. And, it's like, what should we do? The local community around, they're like more like the yeast. So the solutions come from them. And they're just different. I don't know how to describe it there, but another place in Kenya, we had a place where they were, the people didn't have clothes. I mean, literally, they found that they didn't have clothes. And there was a whole village where they were so poor that most of them didn't have clothes. And not too far from there was a nun who was running a job skill thing, sewing, and we gave a lot of sewing machines. And we contacted those sisters and said, if we gave you more money for fabric, would you make clothes for this village? And they said yes. So, we're connecting them like that more, but usually, I don't know how the needs are unique in a way.
Sister Irene, sorry, it might not be a fair question, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway, because I mean, it seems like this is organic and it's growing, like more members, more projects. But what is the long-term? Do you have a long-term plan of, 5 years from now, this is what you'd love to see? What do you have a strategy behind your growth?
Yeah, we really we're trying to network, get the women to be solving, and not solving, but more communicating among each other, passing the wisdom back and forth in a way that they're starting to do now, but not in a huge group. So that would be, we have if I'm going back to the map, if you look over on the left side, it says a resource library. And I could click on it, but it's just so slow. Click on it, and we have resources categorized according to, same thing, human trafficking, domestic violence, environment, that stuff, so that people are putting best practices in there so that they can share that among themselves. There are women who give retreats. That's their ministry of their order. And they're wondering if they can be giving global retreats. And they said, well, you can put a link in if you want in the resource library. And so that they can build the community. What we're finding is that the younger nuns, which are growing so fast in the Southern Hemisphere, that sometimes they send them home because they can't feed all the novices. The younger nuns see all the nuns of the world as their community. They're less siloed than the ones that have been sisters in a certain community for, 40 years or whatever, 50 years. So we want to see that. We want to see that it's a valuable resource, that we network with other groups, and we're a piece of the solution to help eradicate root causes of poverty. And we want to work with other people who are doing that same thing. And we trust the nun, I don't want to say workforce, the nuns' way of being on the planet and their friends, I mean, 650,000 nuns, but they know people. We're talking about really a movement of tens of millions of people, all connected.
Well, on that note, I do want to, you mentioned at the very beginning how it was such a challenge that nobody had this list, all these nuns out there, but nobody has contact information for them. Nobody knows how to find them. So now you have a database of all these people, which I know at previous organizations I've worked for, I would have loved to have that. So how do you use that database to communicate to all these people?
We can put out, you mean to all the people on the map? Or what do you mean? All the people that are connected, or all what people? Communicate to what people?
I guess any and all of the above. My main question was, you have a database of nuns. How big is the database and what are you doing with it?
Oh, well, we have this, I keep looking over here because I have this other screen. Sorry about that. That this database, so we have this 402 on there right now. And a number of them are, as I said, connected to 9,000 nuns in Nigeria, and so there's a lot of sisters that can be communicated through here. We have their orders, the name when they come on, we know which order they're in and that kind of stuff. But mostly what we do is the problems. We're just communicating with them. We didn't think about, I don't know, spreading the word about, we have this huge database. I mean, I don't know what you would do with the huge database. I don't know. We're able to connect them to each other. We're able to connect people who are interested in certain countries and certain work. We're able to connect them to the sisters. Somebody called us and said, "Do you have sisters in Goma?" And I was like, I just said, "I'm sure we do." I didn't even know what country Goma was in. So I looked up, found Goma was in the Congo. There we had sisters in the Congo. I clicked on them on the map, communicated through the map, because we can email these people right from the peace room. And I connected with them and said, do you have any sisters in Goma? They said, "Oh yeah." So they gave us the contact, and these women from Goma, the nuns, took videos of the war going on right outside their window. And that went to a donor, and he asked, what do they need? And they said $11,800, and he gave it to, boom, money went there. So it's like a live organism. What would you do with it, Teresa? What would you do with the database?
Okay, I'm going to say that we are wrapping up. I know I have to transition to Ryan, who has showed his face, and see if there's any other questions. And let Jenny make some closing remarks about the next webinar as well.
So with no more questions, Jenny, why don't you preview what's going on next?
Sure. Well, our next webinar, professional development webinar, will be Tuesday, June 17th. It is titled Reaching New Heights with Holy Culture, Connect, Collab, and Inspire. And Trig, the gentleman's name is Trig Rousseau. It's James B. Rousseau Sr., but he goes by Trig. He's founder of an organization called the CoreLink Solution and CEO of a brand and podcast called Holy Culture. And they basically they're a faith-based group that uses media to reach out to other people to help them meet their potential. And they have what they call a head and heart mission. So they use music, popular music, rap music, to reach out to young people and get them connected and engaged. So, Sister Irene, we will be sharing some of your Sister Rising information with them, and hopefully he can do some good work for you too. So,
Great. Great.
Thank you so much, Jenny. As Teresa said at the stop, or at the top, I guess, I'm the stop, but as she said at the top of the meeting, this is my first official act as the president of the RCC. One of my favorite quotes from the late Pope Francis has been running through my head this whole meeting. And that's first we pray for the poor and then we feed the poor. That's how prayer works. And it's so inspiring. It's been really inspiring to me to see not only how you are putting faith into action, but how you're harnessing the collective power of that around the world. Um, the other thing that's been running through my mind is the fact that over the last several years, oh, maybe even 10 years or so, we've talked a lot in the Religion Communicators Council about the changing demographics in the face of faith, and about how the largest growing religion is the nuns, N-O-N-E-S, because more people are not subscribing to a faith. And we talk about the rise of the nuns. And it always sounds like a horror movie where you get these Catholic nuns that are going to kill everybody, the rise of the nuns. Um, but it's so great to have sisters rising worldwide, and have a very, very positive spin on that phrase. And so now when people talk about the rise of the nuns, I'm going to say, there's this website, you should check it out. Um, but it's been really a very enriching discussion for me. Once again, I apologize for my dress today. I did just get back from the hospital. She's doing okay. But thank you everybody for your love and support, and thanks for coming to this meeting today. And we'll see you in a month.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sister Irene.
thank you, Sister Irene.
Thank you very
Be
much.
well.
Nice to meet all of you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.